Good morning, everybody. It's your boy, Coach Lee. Welcome to the STWF Fantasy Football Insight Show. Man, we're about 15 minutes away from another Jacksonville massacre, more than likely. But we're in week 7 right now. We're going to go through the stardom and sit-ems, the injury report as well. Your boy let down this morning because, man, my Longhorns got the horn sawed off last night. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs, big dogs of the SEC right now. But we're here for NFL this week, man. We're going to, you know what? Got about 16 minutes away from kickoff. Let's go ahead and get it started today with the first thing that we always do, the injury report. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right off the bat this morning, as far as the injury report is concerned, let's get the bad boys up in here. See, this morning, try to give you guys the up-to-the-minute stuff as much as possible. Right now, we got Marvin Harrison. He's questionable with the concussion for the Arizona Cardinals. He went out this past Sunday in the second quarter. Head coach Gannon said Monday that no players have been ruled out for the Cardinals Monday night game. So we're going to see how that goes. But you got to keep in mind other receivers this week, this season, who's already missed out on, because of concussion protocol, Malik Neighbors and Devontae Smith. So those things can always kind of linger. James Cook of the Buffalo Bills is questionable with a toe. He came in as Buffalo's top rusher in week 6. Even though he did have the toe injury, he has a chance to play Sunday night, according to team reports. It may be good to keep Ray Davis on your roster just in case. Chris Olave, we're going to talk about that. Shout out to my Saint brothers. Brian Robinson Jr., questionable with the knee. He missed Commanders' loss in Baltimore in week 6 with the knee injury, but he is back on the field for practice as of Wednesday, and things look optimistic for a week 7 home game against Carolina. Cooper Kupp, the Rams, questionable with the ankle. We're safe today, Coach. We can't be hurt by our teams more. Yes, we can enjoy football without being stressed out, bro. You are absolutely correct, Bobby. Appreciate you shining in with us this morning, bro, as always. Cooper Kupp questionable with the ankle injury. He could play week 7 for the first time since week 2 to be determined. Rachaad White of the Buccaneers is questionable with the foot. Obviously, they do get an extra day off with them playing Monday night, so that's something that can still be monitored. But you got to also remember, considering how well Sean Tucker played, even if he's back in the lineup, he may be in a diminished role. Jerome Ford of the Browns is questionable with a hamstring. Looks like he may not be good to go this week, but he may be worth dropping, or at least looking at Deontay Foreman against a porous Bengals defense. Anthony Richardson, questionable with an oblique. He's expected to be a full go in practice. He was a full go in practice on Wednesday for the first time since he had the injury. I think he is slated to start today, if I'm not mistaken. So make those adjustments in your lineups. Jonathan Taylor, hurting your boy. I got so many people on IR this year. Jonathan Taylor, questionable with the ankle. He missed the last 2 weeks with a right ankle sprain, following that game they had against Pittsburgh in week 4. Outlook isn't positive for him. We're going to see how that's going to go. I think he's probably going to miss his 3rd game. Pretty sure it's going to be his 3rd game that he misses. We got options. Definitely go to them. Devin Singletary, the Giants, questionable with the groin. He missed the last 2 games with a groin injury. Another one of those things that can always linger. But rookie Tyron Tracy Jr. has played very well in his absence. So if you got him, start him. If you don't, go get him as far as Tracy Jr. is concerned. This guy here is in and out of the lineup. Dallas Goedert, questionable with the hamstring. They just got back A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They just don't have a full complement of all the receiving options this year. With that being said, Grant Calcaterra, I guess he says his name, is likely the next best fantasy tight end option on Philly's roster. But he did struggle to stay on the field because his lack of ability to block. Malik Neighbors missed the last 2 weeks, as spoken earlier, with a concussion. He was back in practice on Wednesday, but he's still labeled as non-contact. I think he should be a go today. We shall see. Jaden Reed of the Packers, questionable with the ankle injury. He left the Packers win against the Cardinals last week. But you do have the options of Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson back on the field. So even if he is healthy, he may see a diminished role. Tajay Spears of the Titans, questioned with the hamstring. Roll with Tony Pollard this week. I would do that regardless because hamstring, those things are always volatile as well. Devin A-Chain, questionable with concussion. Are we at the point now where we might have to think, man, what's really going on, with concussion protocol in Miami? Seems to be a pretty common thing with them. We all know how Tua's situation is. But it seems like every now and then there's some other guys on. I know football's a contact sport, but definitely seems like it's contagious around there if there is such a thing. Jordan Mason, San Francisco 49ers, questionable with the shoulder injury. I'll probably say go with Isaac Guerrero. He had a real good game. I think it was 2 weeks ago against Seattle. Had a big role then. But you're going to have to, they got to lean heavily on them. I will pick him up just in case. Matter of fact, one of my leagues, when I get done with this show, I'm going to pick him back up because I think I had dropped him out of necessity of injuries, but I might have to go find him again. Jacoby Myers of the Raiders, questionable with an ankle injury, which stinks because they just traded Adams. He would have been the primary. I'll probably say it is the Raiders. Diminished offense regardless. Find other options. Aaron Jones, questionable with a hip on the Minnesota Vikings. He was injured in week 5. He was back on the field as of this past Monday, but it wasn't a full participant. So there's something to look out at as they face the Lions this week. Running back Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots, questionable with the foot. Even if he is healthy, he does have a fumbling issue this year. As they make the trip across the pond to face the Jags, starts in 9 minutes. Backup Antonio Gibson could be a good play if Stevenson doesn't make the trip. I don't think he did. Dontavian Wicks, questionable with the shoulder. Again, they got other options in that Green Bay offense. Even if he's there, he's going to probably be 4th, 5th option at best. Travis Etienne, the Jaguars, questionable with the hamstring. Doug Peterson said this past Monday he would be week to week. But as always, it doesn't give much confidence on his availability. And that is our noticeable injuries. Let me check the secondary report to see if we got any other last-minute injuries. Think that's going to be good to go as far as the injuries. If anything changes while we do the segments of the show, we'll definitely share that information with you. Try to get you up-to-minute information as much as possible so you can make those adjustments in your roster. We want you to be successful. See, we are going to take a very, very quick break. And we're going to be back in about, if I can find this freaking thing, we'll be back in about 57 seconds.
We've also seen a lot of Joe Hendry on NXT television. And not only have we seen him on NXT television, he's like being in prime spots. WWE has to like buy him out or something, right?
I don't look, man. They're playing it perfectly. They're playing it perfectly.
Okay.
He gets all access to the PC. He's doing meet and greets. He's doing autograph signings. I think they're playing it perfectly. And he's still be employed by TNA. We know that his contract ain't up for another few years. So they're playing it perfectly. And everybody's winning. So Hendry wins. WWE wins. TNA wins. NXT wins. Shawn Michaels wins. Triple H wins. Everybody's eating.
This is an emergency message. stop what you're doing and hit the like button. Also comment and subscribe. Thank you. We now return you to your program.
Welcome back. We appreciate you hanging out with your boy, Coach Lee. This STWF Fantasy Football Insight Show. We try to bring you up-to-the-minute updates so we can have a positive impact on your outcome of your games. In the first segment, we went over the injury reports. And then, obviously, the most important one that you may want to know about are stardom and sit. Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right into it. So actual starts for the week. We're going to go over the quarterbacks that you start. You want to start Baker Mayfield against the Buccaneers. He leads the NFL with 15 passing touchdowns and is a must-start on a weekly basis in most of your fantasy football leagues. Baltimore has allowed at least 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks. Mayfield, he can definitely take advantage of the Ravens secondary, one of the best wide receiver tandems in the league. Baker Mayfield, man, Cleveland probably kicking themselves right now. Start Kirk Cousins, the Falcons against the Seahawks. Now, obviously, you can't expect Kirk Cousins to throw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns every week like he did in week 5, but he can be trusted in those favorable matchups, like he had against Seattle, or like he can have against Seattle, rather. The Seahawks have allowed 257 yards per game and 8 touchdowns over the past 3 games. He could be another high-scoring outcome for Kirk Cousins. And on the flip side of that, you want to start Geno Smith of the Seahawks against the Falcons. Smith leads in passing yards, but has thrown exactly 1 touchdown in every game. He could break out this week, though. Atlanta has allowed multiple passing touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. They're also the subpar pass rush again. So he's going to have time to sit back in the pocket. He's a great stand-in for a starter facing a tough matchup or if you're on the bye week. Surprisingly, I know my partner in crime, Took, is going to really like this. Start Drake May of the New England Patriots against Jacksonville. You got 4 minutes if you're going to make that decision. In his NFL debut, he threw 3 touchdowns against Houston's defense. His reward, a matchup against the Jaguars in London. They allowed the most points to opposing quarterbacks so far this season. They've allowed 14 passing touchdowns through 6 weeks, and May could have a good outing this week. You want to sit Joe Burrow against the Browns. It's kind of iffy on that one. New York's pass. I'm sorry, he had a okay week 2. I'm sorry, QB2 performance. They labeled him as a QB2 performance in week 5 with the down week against the Giants. A lot of that had to do with New York's pass rush. As you know, Cleveland does have a pass rush because they've got Myles Garrett, the reigning defensive MVP. So he's going to be in his hip pocket all day. He's one of the league's best. He is one of the top edge rushers in the league. So most likely he's going to be going up against Mims. So it should be a field day for Garrett against that Cincinnati offensive line. You want to sit Jared Goff against the against the Vikings. The last 2 games, Goff's been on fire. 607 yards, 5 tubs in that span. But this week, they say he's not a top 15 because he's going against the Vikings defense that bends but doesn't break. Minnesota has allowed the 3rd most passing yards per game in the NFL. Normally, it's because, they got a lead. They are undefeated still. So teams are having to pass, but they've only given up 8 total touchdowns in those 5 games. So they're also saying that Detroit may lean on the running game in the red zone. So we shall see how that outcome is. Pick Russell Wilson. He's making his NFL first game start in his debut with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets defense is dealing with injuries, obviously, but it still ranks 2nd in the league in passing yards allowed per game. The Steelers also have the 6th highest sack percentage in the league, which isn't great for a 35-year-old quarterback. You want to sit Anthony Richardson this week as they face the Dolphins. I think they're rushing him back. I still think they should roll out Joe Flacco, but like they may be trying to rush him back. We'll see how that goes. He's making his first appearance on the field since week 4. Miami's allowing 159.6 passing yards per game, which is 3rd in the league. The Dolphins are 18th in rushing yards allowed per game. But Richardson may not have any designed runs because he just got back from that oblique injury. Week 7 stardom and sit-ems for running backs. Austin Eckler is the start of the Commanders going up against the Panthers. The Panthers, to rank 32nd in the league. They've given up 803 yards and 12 touchdowns to running backs so far this year. Also, Brian Robinson may be back from a knee injury, but he still has a lot. He'll still have a lot of value for his Eckler. 3rd downs, things of that nature. Start Tank Bigsby. He's on the tear right now of the Jaguars. You got 1 minute if you want to start him in there before kickoff. Actually, it might be already too late. ETN is dealing with the hamstring injuries. Bigsby stepped right in and handled his business a couple of weeks ago. That unit has allowed at least 1 rushing touchdown every week on average 130 yards rushing allowed. So got a good chance. Start Antonio Gibson. Too late now. You don't already have him in there. You want to start Ty Chandler of the Vikings. Aaron Jones, as mentioned on injury report, is questionable this week. If he can't go, Chandler will likely handle most of the workload. Detroit just lost Aiden Hutchinson, so they're going to be a little suspect on the edges. You want to sit Nick Chubb. First game back after that devastating knee injury from last year. I wouldn't put a lot of stock. He's got to get warmed up. You don't want to just throw him out there and expect he's going to have, 100+ yards, a couple of tubs or something like that. It's going to be a slow ramp up. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the pitch count this week. You want to sit Bucky Irving of the Buccaneers against the Ravens. He did have a breakout performance against the Saints, but the Ravens are allowing a league low 59 yards rushing yards per game. For context, the NFL average is 122 yards per game. So that's the NFL's stingiest league team in the league against the run. You want to sit Zach Moss of the Bengals against the Browns. He had a second half fumble last week, which pretty much ended his night against the Giants. Chase Brown took over for the rest of the game. Pick him up, you already have. I did. Cincinnati may have given him, they may give him another chance, but it's likely he'll remain behind Brown as he can be trusted again. I also want to sit Jordan Mason. I think he's still injured. We spoke about that earlier. Week 7, wide receivers. You want to start Zay Flowers against the Buccaneers. Flowers broke the Ravens record for catches in a half with 9 for 132 yards last week, but he probably won't repeat that against the Bucs. A little bit more stingier defense. You got Demario Douglas. He would have been the start. The game's already started. Jordan Addison of the Vikings. I think he should be healthy now. One of his best games of the week, possibly as they come off the bye week against the Lions. They're anticipating him to. He could play a significant role because T.J. Hockenson is unlikely to be back in the lineup, so he's going to be the number 2 option for Minnesota. Detroit's allowing the 4th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. Start Ladd McConkey of the Chargers against the Cardinals. McConkey has faced, after facing top pass defense against Denver, McConkey and the Chargers get a break this week against Arizona. The Cardinals are giving up the 8th most fantasy points against opposing wide receivers, so he should take advantage of that. Deontay Johnson of the Panthers against the Commanders. Last week, he had 10 targets and converted that to 6 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. Washington is allowing the 5th most fantasy points to wide receivers this season. He could benefit from the Panthers. They're likely to be playing catch-up most of the game, so they're going to have to air it out. You want to sit Michael Wilson of the Cardinals. He scored his 2nd touchdown of the season last week against Green Bay, but it will probably have a tougher time on Monday night against the Chargers. The Chargers are 6th in the NFL and fewest fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. will play, which should help take some of the attention, but Wilson is most likely going to replicate his performance from last week. Alan Lazard, you want to sit him against the Steelers. They traded for Adams, so his role is definitely going to be diminished. He's going to get pushed down on the totem pole as far as the receiving hierarchy there. Sit Calvin Ridley of the Titans against the Bills. He had 0 catches, as we talked about that on Monday night on the play call sheet. He had 0 catches for 8 targets last week, and he was pretty upset about it. See how that develops. But the Bills are on the 8th fewest fantasy points of wide receivers so far this season. You want to sit Michael Pittman of the Colts. I was going to go with his Dolphins. He surprisingly played last week because he does have that back injury, but he had 5 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown. But the Dolphins' pass defense could stifle him this weekend. They ranked 3rd in the NFL in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. Tight ends. You want to start Dalton Schultz. I don't want to hear about this from my peers tomorrow. Want to start Dalton Schultz. Houston is missing Nico Collins, so Schultz is going to be able to pick up the slack for that. He finished 2nd in targets behind Tank Dell last week. This week, he faced a Packer defense, which allowed the 5th most yards to tight ends and tied for the most receptions. Start Hunter Henry. Too late for that game already started. Start Brock Bowers of the Raiders against the Rams. With Adams out, primary target, now wide receiver, primary target for catches is going to be Brock Bowers. He's averaging 11 catches, 84 yards since Adams exited the lineup. He could be the top tight end this week as well. Start Jonnu Smith of the Dolphins against the Colts. Could be a great start if you're in a pinch this week. He had a season high 8 targets against the Patriots last time out in week 5. He converted that to 5 catches for 62 yards. And the Colts defense is giving up the 4th most points to opposing tight ends this season. Sit Grant Calcaterra of the Eagles. We talked about that because his lack of ability to block would be the only reason why he wouldn't be up there, or his ineffective blocking. I wouldn't say his inability to block. And they're probably going to, with Smith and Brown being back, it's probably going to be a lot more Saquon Barkley out of the backfield to help make up for Goddard being out. Sit Tucker Kraft of the Packers. He's one of the top tight ends in the league in weeks 4 and 5, but Christian Watson is back in the lineup. His production dropped off to 5 touches for 15 yards. Houston is one of the toughest defense against tight ends of the season, so they expect them to struggle this week. Sit Dalton Kincaid of the Bills. Got Amari Cooper coming over, so Kincaid is going to bump down on that totem pole. He is a reliable tight end this season. He ranks in the top 15 in PPR leagues in 4 of the last 5 weeks. But he's going against the best defense against tight ends in fantasy football this week in the Titans. They've allowed just 24 yards per game to tight ends this season and have yet to allow a touchdown to the position. Sit Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers against the Jets. He's been a top 10 tight end in all formats this season, but it may be a tough start this week for him. And I think that is starting to set them to take a look at the last minute updates as far as injuries. Don't see anything that have come across. As always, normally when we got a one-man show, we try to get in here, get you the information as quickly as possible to positively affect your rosters. I will say this: if you win, give us all the credit. If you don't, we want none of the blame. But as always, we definitely appreciate you hanging out with you guys this morning. Go get your league set up. Hopefully you're not like your boy and just depleted with injuries. Good luck to you today, unless you're playing against me. Make sure you tune in tonight. Monday night for the play call sheet as we go over to all of today's topics and games. With that being said, good luck to you. Your boy out of here. Peace.
Thanks for watching our show. Remember to subscribe for more shows on the network. Smash the like button, share, and comment.